I'm one of the senior events in the IBM Hursley Lab, and I'm here today with Chris Dudley. How are you, buddy?
Not bad, thank you.
Tip top. Today we're going to talk about the more practical aspects of API management and how particularly you can expose the value of your back-end systems. But first, before we start, Chris, just say who you are and what you do at IBM.
I've been at IBM for 16 years now. I'm currently the development lead for the developer portal for IBM API Management.
Cool, fantastic. So you sound the perfect man to ask questions about API management.
Don't want to oversell myself.
Okay, so as mentioned, we're going to talk about more practical aspects. We did a hangout with Matt Roberts and Michael Jewson and also Blake Davidson, a more high level. But today we're going to focus more on the developers and the technology,
yep.
which is fantastic. So so in that case, practically speaking, how do a developer gain access to the back-end system, or the value of the back-end system?
Well, so the key to managing your APIs is using API management to put all your back-end data in there so you can expose it in a way that can be consumed. But then in order for it to actually be consumed and to get value from it, to get the most money, then you'd need to make a portal so that you can socialize those APIs.
Okay.
And ideally, it needs to be something that's easy to use. If you're thinking of little Johnny in his back room writing an iOS app, there's a lot of choice out there on what APIs he chooses to use. So he's going to pick the ones that are easiest for him to consume. So you need to provide good documentation on it, probably several different plans. So you can have different rate limits. So somebody who's just trying something out versus somebody who's then going to be a heavy corporate user.
Okay.
And have different pricing points for those in terms of what usage they have. If you think of, it's a fairly sort of industry standard. Think of sort of Twitter's APIs, very heavily used. I think they make more money from their APIs than they do from their own Twitter clients.
Right.
So they have a big community portal, I think it's developer.twitter.com type thing, where you can get all the information you need to consume those APIs. You can then sign up to using them. You can track your own usage. So we have the same for API management customers. So we provide a built-in portal that they can use to socialize their own APIs.
Okay, fair enough. So we have a developer portal that people can access, which provides the link into a back-end system for the enterprise. Fantastic. So in terms of the developer, how would they use this developer portal?
It's normally relatively simple. So you come along, you browse the list of APIs that are available.
Yep.
You find one you happen to like, think that's the one I want to use. Then you normally need to sign up. So normally it's you can turn on sort of self-registering. So you just type in email address and password, off you go. Then you create an application which gives you a client ID and a client secret,
right? Which
you can then use as your effectively security key when you're invoking those APIs, and then using that client ID, the API provider, the back-end systems, can track usage and monitor who's using them by how much, and then if they choose to, bill accordingly.
I really like the way that you've kind of got this very robust traditional back-end system, which might be servicing your internal enterprise, but actually you're able to expose that out to developers who can then be innovative and use that in really fun and interesting ways. So how will a developer consume an API, for instance?
In many cases, it'll be via a REST interface. Most APIs tend to be REST. There is still some usage of SOAP out there, especially in sort of financial area sector. They seem to still like SOAP. And it tends to be, you can see the API. If it's a REST API, often it's using Swagger. You can download the Swagger document, or you just use native REST calls and embed that in whatever client you like.
Wow.
SOAP, obviously you have a WSDL, or you can use, again, some other native SOAP client. So the idea is to try and make it as easy as possible for the API consumers to be able to do that, so they can get up and running as quickly as possible. Therefore, their usage of the API goes up, so therefore you can build them more. So we try and provide as much functionality in there to enable people to be able to use those APIs as easily as possible. So you can provide all sorts of different documentation. One of the popular features is a live test tool. So inside the portal, when you can see the list of APIs, you can invoke them live and see what responses you'd get back for different data sets, different values. And coming in the next release, we also have code snippets. So you can have little examples for different programming languages as to how somebody would consume a particular API.
That sounds awesome. That was one of our product managers wanted. So in terms of the community features, what community features do you provide for developers?
So in order to try and help, or rather to lower the cost of supporting effectively our customers' customers, the idea is to try and build a community where the community effectively is self-supporting.
Right.
You think of things like Stack Overflow, things like that, where you get these communities that people help other people. We build forums as part of the portal, and so each API gets its own forum, and you can ask questions. And the idea is you build up, people can then post tips and advice and to other, because effectively they wouldn't be competing with each other. So hopefully they would be willing to help each other.
Cool.
People could also post comments. They can rate things. You then start getting to the slightly more expensive for our customers in terms of time and maintenance. So there's things like support ticket systems where they can raise a support ticket, going, help, I'm stuck, this doesn't work type thing. So that's built into it. If it falls back to the most expensive in terms of time to maintain, is they can just send an email, and there's email forms built into the site, so they can send an email to effectively the API provider going, help, I'm stuck, please help.
Fantastic. Cool. So I'm guessing these can be quite, well, I'm guessing there's a need for customization.
Yep.
Is it possible to customize your portal to represent your corporate image and styling?
Totally. It tends to be what the first thing customers want to do. Right. They want to expose their APIs, and they want them to look like their APIs, not IBM's APIs.
Fair enough.
So one of the first changes that people tend to make is effectively theming or skinning the portal, providing their own corporate look on it, and it's trivial to do. And we've helped customers do hundreds of these now, and you can turn them around in about an hour. So that you can completely change the look and feel of it, but you can get down, depending on how much effort you want to put into customizing it, you can go down to individual pixels on the screen. Really? The HTML, the CSS, the whole lot is completely customizable. You can create your own content types, add extra metadata to our existing content types, change how that's all displayed on the screen, turn on comments, turn off comments, configure user registrations, all sorts of features are in there that can be turned on, turned off, configured however people want. Because different customers want different things. They don't want their portal to look like anybody else's.
Of course, yeah, for sure. That's fantastic. All right, so let's say, for example, I've got an API. How can I see if it's being used? How do I know where people are engaging with it? Is there any monitoring solutions I can get hold of?
So there's kind of two sides to the analytics. So as an API provider, you want to see how much is being used, right, and presumably then bill them accordingly. Yeah. As an API consumer, knowing that you're going to be billed, you're probably going to want to track your own usage and see how much how much you are using of which APIs, and possibly then see where the rate limit thresholds are to make sure you're not going to trigger over one or get some kind of some warning of that. So inside the portal, there are analytics where you can track usage for as a consumer, your developer organization, track your usage of all the different APIs. You can also track that at an application level. Right. So if you had different applications for doing different purposes, you could track those, and you can go right the way down to individual operations of an API and get your usage of those plotted over time with a graph where you can zoom in on all the usual things you'd expect. There are also notifications built into it, so based on whatever limit you choose to set, the system can automatically send you a notification via email, on the screen, whatever, when certain thresholds are reached. For example, when you reach 75% of your agreed plan limit, it can send you an email to warn you, so you could take some kind of rectifying action if need be.
Super. So, in the portal, what options are there to support API consumers?
Support in what way? We provide as much document. We try and provide as many capabilities for the API provider to fully document their APIs. Right. But different customers choose to do it in different ways. Right. They can either write static documentation that displays as a web page in the portal and then link it to all APIs, individual APIs. You can attach documents. You might have terms and conditions as a PDF or an SDK. So we provide like a Java SDK, so it's a nice easy way to consume the API. You can attach that so people can download it. The Swagger document itself has descriptions in terms you can do markdown and provide code samples. And there's obviously the interactive tool is a very easy way to see how an API works because you can try it live.
Okay.
It's a very easy way of finding out how you might use it.
Fantastic. So, big question then. So I'm sold immediately. Can people log on? Is there a feature to play with?
So API management comes in two form factors. There's the on-prem version for on-premise, where you install it on your own hardware, or there's the service offering, SaaS, in the cloud.
Okay.
Both versions have a trial offering, so you can sign up free for the SaaS version, and you get a X thousand API calls you can do a month. And there's now released, I think in the last month, a trial version, a developer edition of the on-prem version as well, so you can install it yourself and play locally.
Nice work. And where can I go for more information? Is there a info centre, knowledge centre?
There is. The easiest normally is just type it into Google. You get the first hit up. There's we have an external portal where we have forums, people can ask questions, and there's blog posts and things on it. There's also the full knowledge centre, the usual you'd expect from an IBM offering.
Fair play, buddy. Well, it's been an absolute joy, Chris. Thank you so very much for turning up. And to Bernard for briefly wandering by as well. Thanks,
Cameo.
Cameo. Thank you as well for joining in. Take care now, and bye-bye.
Cheers.